It must be hard to try and follow up a movie that was an obvious masterpiece. You know, horror movies in the 80s and 90s were synonymous with their sequels. They had multiple of it. If your movie didn't have a sequel, it probably wasn't doing something right. Candyman 2 was an inevitability. Candyman was one of the best movies that the 90s had in horror, and it came out early on. It had so much more about it rather than just your typical stalk and slash that these horror movies had. Candyman 2 isn't as good as the first one, but then you look at the first one and you go, it's a masterpiece. It's going to be hard to even match that. Within the horror lexicon, it's usually diminishing returns. Sometimes you get a blip and you get a really good sequel. Sometimes you don't. Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh, is actually a really good sequel to the first one. It doesn't build on the themes that were in the first movie, and it transposes the movie from Chicago to New Orleans, which is a bit of a misstep. But that's the story that it chooses to chase, and it certainly goes after it. We follow the main character of Annie, who, as it turns out, his family had something to do with the original Candyman's death. And this seems to be something that is coming back to haunt her throughout the movie as she tries to discover what her family actually had to do with Daniel Robichaud's death, the Candyman. And well, the Candyman does his kind of thing throughout it. They still have that eerie feeling of this mythos, you know, the unspoken but everybody knows about boogeyman. The Candyman, even here, still has that kind of power about it, you know, the unspoken fear that you can sense around everybody else. But by transposing it away from Chicago to New Orleans, you kind of lose some of the power that it had there, where you felt that the story was kind of connected to that area, to that placement, to the people that were there, to the situation of the people living there, and that had a lot of thematic commentary about the social standings and the living situation. That's kind of gone here, and it becomes much more of a typical horror movie that does try to interject little bits of social commentary, but much more relies on the typical horror set pieces that you would expect. But they work. They are good horror set pieces. They are fun and energetic to check out. They have good atmosphere. They're well lit and shot, as they should be, directed by Bill Condon, the man who would go on and do much bigger, grander and effective movies. So the guy obviously knows what he's doing. And you can sense that throughout the movie as well. You know, another director at the helm may not have imbued it with as much sense of filmatic sensibilities as Condon does here. It has Tony Todd back in the role that he will always be remembered for, always be tailored for. He is Candyman. He is a little bit more loquacious this time around, a little bit more chatty. He is definitely still bloodthirsty as he takes out random people. The rules that were in the first movie are twisted ever so much, and they kind of start to lose away the form that they had in that first movie. I won't say how, but people are killed who aren't really in any danger or things like that. It shouldn't be centred around about the Candyman, who haven't had any dealings with him, but they are. And it becomes an actual pretty good movie with a great finale. I really enjoyed the set piece at the end as well. It has mood, it has atmosphere, it has scares, and of course it has blood and guts and the Candyman at the centre of it. It's a really good sequel to a movie that would be really hard to follow on from. And I think they achieved that really well. Now, I haven't seen part 3, which is something I need to check out at some point, but I've heard really bad things about that. The transfer on this disc is excellent. The quality is amazing. I think the movie looks fantastic. There is some great extras on here as well. You get the standard like 5.1 or 2.0 sound that you can choose from. There is English subtitles. There is an audio commentary with Bill Condon, which I've not had the chance to listen to as yet. There is the Candyman Legacy with Tony Todd, which is a 26-minute interview, just basically him talking about the movie and talking about Candyman as a whole and how he loves it and how it's going to be the thing that he's always remembered for, and he's happy with that. You get an 11-minute down memory lane, which is an interview with Nancy Cartwright, who, if you don't know that person, as soon as you see her, you will recognise her from so many movies and that's a fun little addition. And it has the original theatrical trailer. This is a great package, something I can highly recommend picking up. I love it, especially if you got the Candyman Blu-ray that recently came out. It's good to get the sequel. Maybe we'll get part 3 later on, who knows. I'd love to know your thoughts on Candyman 2. Let me know in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time on Man vs. Film.